Talking about here on my channel right now. It's all about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's.
It was one of those strange Fridays where the noise of the world seemed to merge into one long hum. Courtroom whispers, Twitter feeds, YouTube reactions, and the distant sound of Halloween approaching. In the midst of it all, Blake Lively stood at the center of a storm she had unknowingly created, her name trending again, not for a red carpet gown or a romantic movie, but for a subpoena. The week before Halloween had become her own haunted house of legal filings, accusations, and documentary whispers, and yet, she appeared as calm as the eye of a hurricane. This wasn't a movie set. This was real life, and it was unfolding in real time, with the pop culture audience watching every twist and turn. The story began with Popcorn Planet, the digital platform run by Andy Signore, a creator known for digging deep into Hollywood controversies and for not backing down from legal heat. Blake Lively, fresh off months of legal back and forth with Justin Baldoni, had now set her sights on Andy, issuing a subpoena demanding materials, communications, and documents related to his upcoming documentary. It was a move that shocked many observers. Why would an A-list actress, known for her controlled, polished public image, suddenly want to reach into the world of a YouTuber? The answer, as many began to speculate, was hidden inside that very documentary. Reports suggested that Lively wanted to know exactly what Popcorn Planet's upcoming film contained. Was it merely curiosity, or was she attempting to control the narrative before it hit the public eye? People close to the situation started whispering that this subpoena wasn't about evidence, it was about timing, about visibility, and perhaps about fear. The irony, of course, was that by trying to suppress curiosity, she had ignited it. It was the Streisand effect in full bloom. The harder she tried to hide something, the brighter it began to glow in the public consciousness. And as one observer joked online, it's like she's standing in the dark holding a flashlight, wondering why everyone's looking at her. The court documents themselves painted a curious picture. Blake's team had admitted that her inability to provide concrete evidence in her ongoing legal saga was due to deleted text and audio messages, a claim that immediately drew comparisons to the age-old "dog ate my homework" defense. Critics and commentators had a field day. So the evidence existed. One post read, "It just accidentally vanished?" For a woman who built her career on precision, poise, and image, this kind of legal clumsiness felt out of character. And yet, here she was, cornered by her own narrative. Meanwhile, Popcorn Planet's Andy Signore wasn't backing down. Through his attorney, he filed a motion to quash Blake's subpoena entirely, essentially asking the court to throw it out on the grounds that he was a non-party to the main lawsuit between Lively and Wayfair, and that she already had access to all the materials she could possibly need. In simple terms, his message was, "You've got everything you're entitled to. Leave me out of it." The motion was accompanied by a request for a judicial notice, a legal document meant to solidify his position that this subpoena was unnecessary, invasive, and possibly a tactical move designed to delay or suppress the release of his documentary. What made the story even juicier was the speculation swirling online. Many viewers and insiders believed that Lively's true goal wasn't about discovery, but about control. There were rumors that the documentary, which Popcorn Planet had been teasing for months, might include exclusive footage, behind-the-scenes commentary, or even insider perspectives about the breakdown of her relationship with Justin Baldoni during the filming and aftermath of It Ends With Us. Whether true or not, the timing couldn't have been worse for Lively. Her own discovery phase in court was coming to a close, and she still had no hard proof to substantiate her claims of a coordinated smear campaign. People online began dissecting every phrase her attorney had once told E! News. There is an overwhelming amount of evidence documenting the smear campaign. Yet now, months later, Blake's own filings appeared to contradict that statement. Commentators like Dave Neal and countless others questioned the discrepancy. How can there be overwhelming evidence if you're saying everything was deleted? The contradiction became a symbol of the larger issue, the widening gap between celebrity spin and legal reality. At the same time, critics of the Hollywood elite began using the situation as an example of how stars often misuse their influence. Imagine having global fame and resources, one YouTube comment read, and still trying to silence a content creator because they might expose something true. This wasn't just about Lively anymore. It was about power, narrative control, and the uneasy relationship between celebrities and independent media. Blake Lively had once mastered the art of controlling her image through glossy magazine covers and carefully worded interviews. But in the digital age, that control was slipping away. Popcorn Planet's documentary had become the forbidden fruit of the internet. Everyone wanted to know what was inside, especially since the filmmaker himself hinted that he had been advised to pause its release until the subpoena issue was resolved. Fans speculated that Lively's legal move was her way of delaying the inevitable, pushing the documentary's debut closer to 2026, the same year her trial with Baldoni was expected to take place. If true, this meant the film's release could coincide perfectly with the public's renewed interest in the case, a PR and in a twist that felt almost poetic. Popcorn Planet himself revealed that he had been invited to appear in the documentary, but missed the opportunity due to timing and travel conflicts. His absence didn't weaken the intrigue, it amplified it. People wondered, if someone like him had been considered, who else had already been interviewed? What truths were waiting to be told? Beyond the legal drama, a parallel conversation was unfolding among other online creators, a reflection of the growing tension within the YouTube ecosystem itself. Content creators like Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball began speaking out about the increasing tribalism among commentators. She posted messages condemning the mob mentality that demanded creators pick sides in controversies, reminding everyone that freedom of speech meant allowing differing opinions. Gatekeeping is the opposite of freedom, she wrote, and dogpiling is wrong. Her statement resonated with many who felt suffocated by the culture of digital infighting. For creators like Popcorn Planet, Dave Neal, and others covering cases like Lively versus Baldoni, the issue wasn't just about the drama, it was about independence. In an industry where corporate PR machines often shape the story, these independent voices represented a new kind of truth-telling, flawed, human, but authentic. And that authenticity was exactly what frightened the Hollywood elite. Amid all this chaos, there was a strange sense of reflection. Dave Neal, the Rush Hour host who had been covering the story, shared a metaphor that struck a chord with his audience. He compared his career, and by extension, the content creator journey, to baseball legend Ted Williams' pursuit of the perfect batting average. You don't have to hit a home run every time, he said. You just need to keep showing up and making contact. It was a humbling, human moment in the middle of the media circus. In many ways, that metaphor applied to Blake Lively as well. For years, she had hit home runs, movies, endorsements, social media admiration. But now, she was swinging at curveballs, striking out in the court of public opinion. And the more she tried to recover, the more her every move was scrutinized. From her film It Ends With Us receiving mixed reviews, even as critics reluctantly praised her soulful and surprising performance, to the fallout of her ongoing feud with Baldoni, it seemed that the actress who once symbolized Hollywood perfection was now living in a script she couldn't control. Meanwhile, the internet's appetite for spectacle didn't stop at Blake. As her case unfolded, parallel dramas in politics and culture began to mirror her story in unexpected ways. Gavin Newsom, the California governor, was making headlines for his viral knee pads comment, mocking corporate leaders and universities for bending to power. His satire hit a nerve. People saw in his words the same dynamic at play in Hollywood, powerful figures bowing to influence rather than truth. And on the other side of the spectrum, Steve Bannon's bizarre claim that Donald Trump would somehow return for a third term in 2028 only reinforced the surreal nature of the current era, where facts and fantasies blended seamlessly. It was a strange reflection of the times. The same week Blake Lively's subpoena dominated entertainment news, the White House was under fire for a $300 million ballroom project, privately funded, with donors' names hidden, raising concerns about corruption and transparency. Commentators drew parallels between political secrecy and celebrity manipulation. Whether it's the government or Hollywood, one pundit said, "The story's the same, they hide, we dig." And digging they did. Every filing, Every redacted sentence, every PR statement was dissected online like a mystery novel. When Lively's lawyers argued that deleted messages prevented them from presenting stronger evidence, armchair analysts immediately went to work, questioning timelines, motives, and coincidences. Deleted doesn't mean gone, one wrote. It means hidden. The narrative had escaped the courtroom and entered the collective imagination of millions. Through it all, Popcorn Planet stood firm, embodying a rare defiance. His audience rallied around him, not because he was perfect, but because he represented something real, the underdog standing up to the powerful. When his supporters shared memes joking about Blake Lively's subpoena, giving the documentary free promotion, they weren't just being funny. They were declaring a small victory for the independent voice over the institution. And perhaps that's what this story really became, not just a legal dispute, but a symbol of a cultural shift. In a world where fame no longer guarantees control, authenticity had become the new currency. Blake Lively, once untouchable, now found herself entangled in the very web of publicity she used to command so easily. The scene remains set, a famous actress clutching at fading control, a creator standing his ground with a documentary the world can't wait to see, and an audience watching from the sidelines, torn between fascination and fatigue. The court may decide the legality, but public opinion will decide the legacy. Because in this new Hollywood, one ruled not by studios but by screens, not by agents but by algorithms, the truth doesn't need a press release. It only needs a view count. When the dust from the subpoena settled, at least momentarily, Hollywood felt strangely quiet. It was that deceptive calm before the next storm, where everyone knew something bigger was coming but no one could quite name it yet. Blake Lively's legal move against Popcorn Planet had already done what it was never meant to. It drew more attention to the very documentary she may have wanted to suppress. In the court of public opinion, perception is evidence, and perception was turning sharply against her. People began connecting dots that may or may not have existed, constructing narratives out of speculation, but it didn't matter, because in modern celebrity culture, narrative is reality. Behind closed doors, insiders described Lively as controlled but cornered. She wasn't melting down. She was calculating. Every statement, every silence was rehearsed. But the walls of public relations had cracks. The once unshakable confidence was being tested not just by Justin Baldoni's ongoing legal resilience, but by the unpredictable wild card that was the internet, a force too vast to control, too fast to contain. Those who had once praised her perfection now whispered doubts. Why was she fighting so hard to silence independent creators? Why subpoena a YouTuber if your case is as strong as your lawyers claim? Even her fans, the ones who had adored her charm, her fashion, her humor, began to ask uncomfortable questions. Meanwhile, Popcorn Planet's Andy Signore found himself at the center of something much larger than he had ever anticipated. His motion to quash the subpoena had transformed him into a symbol of creative independence, an ordinary man standing up to the machinery of Hollywood power. His streams exploded in viewership. Each live broadcast became a mix of legal analysis, emotional reflection, and community solidarity. Viewers who had once tuned in for entertainment now stayed for something deeper, the sense that they were witnessing a shift in how truth is told in the digital age. Justin Baldoni's name began surfacing again too, but not from any official statement, from whispers, analyses, and fragments of insight that bled through comment sections and creator discussions. While he remained largely silent publicly, his presence loomed like a shadow, not vengeful, but steady. The man once painted as the villain in certain corners of the internet was quietly regaining public empathy. The lawsuit he faced had once seemed like an impossible weight. Now, it appeared to many as a calculated attack that was unraveling. Legal experts began discussing the concept of strategic defamation claims, cases designed more to exhaust or intimidate opponents than to seek genuine justice. The implication that Blake Lively's lawsuit may have strayed into that territory was subtle but growing. In this climate, timing became everything. The more Blake's lawyers delayed, the more curious people became about what exactly they were delaying. Every postponement, Every request for additional time to gather evidence began to sound like an echo of uncertainty. Then came the reports that Lively's side had claimed crucial messages were accidentally deleted, erasing key proof of the alleged smear campaign. The moment that phrase hit social media, it exploded. Screenshots, memes, legal breakdowns, the internet feasted. Accidentally deleted became the new punchline of celebrity hypocrisy, shorthand for, we don't actually have proof. But beneath the humor was something darker, an erosion of trust. Audiences had grown cynical over the years, tired of celebrity narratives that flipped overnight. Once upon a time, stars could control their scandals through glossy exclusives and sympathetic interviews. Now, they faced an army of analysts, independent journalists, and citizen detectives dissecting their every word. The very technology that built their fame had evolved into the instrument that could dismantle it. Blake's PR team tried to pivot. Articles appeared subtly reframing her as a misunderstood woman under attack by online bullies. Some of her allies hinted that the documentary was an invasion of privacy or a twisted manipulation of truth. But these tactics no longer worked like they used to. The audience had become too media literate. They could sense spin from a mile away. Instead of sympathy, the narrative drew more scrutiny. What was she hiding? Why did her story need so many press intermediaries to make sense? Meanwhile, Popcorn Planet continued his steady coverage, balancing outrage with calm explanation. His tone wasn't gloating, it was grounded, even empathetic. This isn't about hating Blake Lively, he told his viewers one night. It's about accountability. If you file lawsuits, if you issue subpoenas, you open yourself to public scrutiny. You can't play both sides, victim and aggressor, without consequences. That statement echoed across digital platforms, clipped, quoted, and reposted by countless fans. It captured the essence of the moment, the collision between celebrity privilege and digital transparency. And Justin Baldoni's quiet stillness became a power move of its own. Every time Blake's name trended, his silence amplified. Insiders described him as measured, focusing on his projects, avoiding public spats, and letting the facts speak for themselves. Some even compared his strategy to that of Johnny Depp during his legal wars: patience, documentation, and quiet consistency. The difference, however, was tone. Baldoni wasn't seeking redemption through spectacle. He was allowing the system, and the audience, to slowly recalibrate toward truth. In the background, YouTube commentators, journalists, and even small TikTok creators joined the discussion. The subpoena became more than a legal document. It became a symbol of the new frontier of free speech versus influence. Some creators saw it as a test case. Could a celebrity really use legal pressure to chill content about themselves? And if that precedent stood, what would stop other stars from doing the same? Suddenly, the issue wasn't just about Blake or Popcorn Planet. It was about the entire future of independent commentary. The irony was that the documentary, which might have reached a few 100,000 viewers quietly, was now on track to become a viral sensation once released. Every legal motion, every delay, every leaked page turned into free marketing. Even those who had never followed Popcorn Planet before now subscribed just to stay updated on the saga. Hashtags like hashtag Blake Lively subpoena, hashtag Popcorn Planet, and hashtag Hollywood Truth flooded social media. Fans even joked that Lively was executive producing her own bad press. What came next felt almost cinematic. Reports surfaced that Popcorn Planet's team was strengthening their legal backing, preparing for any escalation. Legal advisors reminded everyone that discovery goes both ways. If Lively wanted access to communications, she too could be asked to provide hers. The symmetry of it was poetic, the hunter risking becoming the hunted. In every live stream, Signore reminded his audience, "I'm not scared. I've got nothing to hide." That authenticity resonated more than any studio PR statement ever could. In contrast, Lively's side remained elusive. Court filings continued, but her public image strategy seemed disoriented. The actress who had once symbolized grace now appeared defensive. Every paparazzi shot, every red carpet moment was dissected for signs of stress. Even fashion blogs, once her safe haven, shifted tone, quietly mentioning the mounting legal distractions around her. The disconnect between her polished appearance and her behind-the-scenes turmoil became the new fascination. The turning point came when legal analysts began openly questioning the foundation of her smear campaign claim. Without tangible proof of coordination, texts, emails, or credible witnesses, the defamation angle appeared increasingly weak. Judges, known for their neutrality, began hinting through their written opinions that speculation alone was not enough. In legal terms, that was devastating. It meant that unless new, verifiable evidence appeared, the case could be sanctioned or even dismissed. And speaking of sanctions, that word alone electrified the internet when it appeared in the filings. The suggestion that Blake Lively might face penalties for pursuing claims without sufficient evidence transformed the narrative overnight. Suddenly, the question wasn't who smeared Blake Lively, but did Blake Lively misuse the system? The backlash was immediate. Fans who had once defended her began expressing disappointment. "We believed her," one wrote. "But now it feels like she's using her power to intimidate instead of seek truth." Even those sympathetic to her cause couldn't ignore the optics. The idea of a powerful celebrity targeting independent creators in the middle of a supposed defamation case was hard to defend. It reeked of imbalance, David versus Goliath, but reversed. The public, as always, sided with David. By the end of the month, the cultural tone had shifted. Commentators were no longer asking whether the documentary would drop. They were asking when. Popcorn Planet teased that the project would reveal everything Hollywood doesn't want you to see. The anticipation became almost ritualistic. Every new live stream felt like a countdown to truth. And even though the legal system moves slowly, the internet does not. In that speed gap, perception solidified. Blake Lively was no longer seen as the wronged actress fighting defamation. She had become the enforcer of silence. And through all this, Justin Baldoni remained the story's quiet constant. People began reevaluating his role in the original controversy, realizing how media framing had once painted him unfairly. His patience had become his redemption. The same interviews once used to vilify him were now revisited under new light, his words suddenly sounding more grounded, his reactions more human. It wasn't that he had changed, it was that context had. The pendulum of public opinion had swung back toward balance. The final act of Part 2 belongs to the audience, the unseen force driving the entire narrative. They were no longer passive consumers. They were participants, analysts, detectives, and critics. Each live stream, each thread, each legal filing was dissected and discussed across the digital town square that is social media. And in this vast, chaotic conversation, one truth became undeniable. No celebrity, no matter how powerful, could control a story forever. Blake Lively's subpoena, once a symbol of legal intimidation, had become a cultural lesson, a reminder that in the age of transparency, suppression always backfires. Her attempt to draw eyes away from a documentary only drew millions more toward it. Popcorn Planet, once just another creator, now stood as a banner for creative freedom. And Justin Baldoni, the supposed antagonist, had quietly reclaimed his dignity without ever raising his voice. The curtain hadn't fallen yet. The court still had decisions to make. The documentary was yet to drop, and reputations still hung in the balance. But one thing was certain. The audience had seen behind the curtain, and there was no going back. Because in this new age of truth and consequence, Hollywood no longer decides what's real. The people do.